This is the Weisberg channel, and as we all know, Russia is currently at war with Ukraine, creating one of the biggest international conflicts seen in recent years. Taking Ukraine has not been easy for the Russian army, largely due to the sheer tenacity of the Ukrainian people who relentlessly fight for their country against a militarily superior opponent. Now, if you've seen the news recently, Vladimir Putin has put his nuclear arsenal in high alert. This was in response to, quote, aggressive statements with regards to our country, likely referring to speeches delivered by NATO members. Now, of course, it is highly unlikely that Russia would resort to such tactics, but it begs the question, what would happen if Russia were to nuke Ukraine, and what are the possible consequences of this decision? Currently, Russia holds the #1 spot for the country with the most nuclear weapons at its disposal, with a total of 1,454 active missiles and 3,039 available ones. This can be compared with the second country on the list, the United States, with a total of 1,389 active missiles and 2,361 available ones. Compared with these two countries, China, the third spot on the list, holds far fewer nukes, with their arsenal consisting of only 350 available missiles. Now, to get a perspective of what one of these missiles is capable of, we'll be looking at the Topol SS-25, which is currently a nuke in Russia's possession. Using an online calculator, we can get an estimate of the damages caused if one of these warheads were to be dropped in a major city such as Kiev, the capital of Ukraine. Well, the first part of a nuclear explosion is what is known as the fireball, which occurs at ground zero and is the most destructive part of the explosion, with a radius being about 0.8 kilometers or 0.5 miles for this particular weapon. In this stage of the explosion, everything in the vicinity will be instantly vaporized, only a large crater left in its place. Now, if we move away 6.5 kilometers or 4 miles from ground zero, we can find a moderate blast damage zone, where a strong pressure wave of 5 psi is enough to collapse most residential buildings, causing massive civilian casualties due to falling structures. Then there's the thermal radiation zone, where third-degree burns can be caused to the skin if a person is within 11.1 kilometers or 6.9 miles of the explosion. Finally, there's the light blast damage radius, where around 1 psi of pressure shatters glass windows, which can injure people who stand by them to see the explosion. Because light travels faster than the subsequent pressure waves, people are caught off guard by them and debris from broken glass. Therefore, if you're within the light blast damage zone, or are unsure how far away you are from the explosion, it's probably better to find shelter as soon as possible without stopping to see the explosion itself, because if you see the explosion, you can be pretty sure that the shockwave is not too far behind. Now, all of this is just the immediate destructive power of the nuclear bomb, but the consequences of its usage are far greater. First, there's the risk of population radiation poisoning due to the fallout, which is one of the most dangerous parts of a nuclear detonation. Vomiting, nausea, diarrhea, and tremors are some of the common signs of radiation poisoning. Cancer also comes as a long-term byproduct of ionizing radiation, along with a host of environmental problems. Food is one of the first things to get affected in a nuclear war scenario. Nuclear fallout lands in soils either as a result of the explosion itself or because it gets carried away by the wind or water runoff. Plants then grow on these contaminated soils, and as a result, insects and other animals get infected with radioactive residue by eating these contaminated plants. We then eat these animals and get some of the side effects passed down from them to us via the food chain. This itself can bring about major long-term health problems for the local population and the population to which contaminated food is exported to. There is also the possibility of tumors caused by mutations due to the radiation exposure, and if the bomb is big enough, and if there is enough of them, the planet itself could be left in a state of nuclear winter, which is the worst case scenario. Now, what is a nuclear winter, you might ask? Well, a nuclear winter occurs when the dense smoke from a nuclear war rises into the atmosphere, blocking the sunlight and plunging the world into darkness. If there is no sun, plants can survive, and if plants can't survive, neither will animals, and we will follow suit. What's particularly terrifying about this scenario is that experts believe that it can happen even if a small nuclear conflict between two smaller countries were to occur. So in short, if Russia resorts to nuclear weapons and the situation escalates to a full nuclear war, we are in very serious trouble. With that said, it is highly unlikely that things would escalate to such a degree, And if they do, well, I guess we'll finally have an answer to Fermi's paradox. And if you don't know what that is, I might have to do a video about it later. But either way, thank you for watching, and for more content like this, consider subscribing, leaving a like, comment, and remember to stay smart.